Hi, I'm Jeff,
Hi, I'm Jessa.
and this is
the
the Latte Night Talks. Welcome to our second episode of our podcast.
Yay!
Thank you so much, by the way, guys, for
Salamat
watching
po.
our first episode.
Thank you so much po. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng sumuporta at nanood po. And we hope that we were able to inspire you. And of course, sa mga nag-comment po sa ating YouTube channel, maraming salamat po. At sa mga nag-share sa atin sa Facebook, thank you po.
Actually, we have read all your comments on YouTube and we are just so overwhelmed. Grabe yung lesson sa adulthood.
At grabe yung mga kape natin. Last episode at ngayon we have brought new coffee to drink while we are talking.
We have a new coffee. Mine it's a simple flavor,
Oh.
Americano latte. I've chosen this because simplicity doesn't mean love. You can actually consider yourself worthy. You are just enough, just as how God has made you.
Wow, I love that. Ako naman, Filipino. Kasi Amerikano yung sa Hindi, yung sa akin, Dalgona Coffee. Sobrang popular ng Dalgona Coffee nung pandemic. Na-try mo ba yun?
Familiar yung Dalgona.
Oo.
Na-trending siya
Nag-trending siya.
during pandemic.
Yeah, I chose this coffee because sometimes the rough things end up smooth. You just have to have the right process.
That's very deep.
Alright, so ngayon, Jeff, we are so excited because we are going to talk about something that is close to our hearts.
I'm really excited to reveal our second topic. I guess it's really timely and relevant to talk about leadership. Let's talk about leaders because also our country is facing a struggle having corrupt leaders. And so let's talk about what good leadership looks like.
And everybody could relate to this because every one of us are affected. All of us are heartbroken about the revelations that are coming out. But praise God because what was hidden is now out in the open.
And since also it's emphasized that leadership can build and at the same time it can destroy. And so let's look at a different perspective about leadership. We would look at someone who never ran an office, who
Yeah.
never led an army, who never held political power, but this person just changed the world more than anyone could ever.
I agree. And we are talking about Jesus. More than anyone else I know, he's the best kind of leader. And he gave us the best example of leadership.
With no doubts, he is the best leader that the world has ever known.
And it's good to learn from him, right?
And actually, this topic is not just for pastor, a person
Right.
who's leading the church. This is applicable to any kind of leader we have and we have experienced. Your bosses at your workplace, in your school, in any institution or organization. Let's talk about this type of leadership that we need and most people often forget about.
And the title of our podcast episode today is...
What most people forget about leadership.
So what we did for today's episode is that we picked 4 scenarios of leadership shown in the Bible by the Lord Jesus Christ. And we are going to get some treasures and wisdom and insights of how we have to lead by Jesus' example.
And so, Jessa, let's begin.
Let's start!
We're going to reveal the first picture. And the picture is about Jesus washing the disciples' feet.
That is
And
amazing.
let me read the verse. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. I believe that a great leader is a humble servant. If you want to lead, you must be able to serve. And serving is one of the best forms of humility for me.
Yes.
As to the context of this biblical passage, the washing of the feet of the disciples happened before the Last Supper, before Jesus was arrested. And this is the moment where Jesus modeled to them what they should do to the people he entrusted to them, how they should model leadership to these people because they would become leaders.
Yes.
And so humility is the key to achieving it.
Grabe no, kakaiba yung leadership na pinakita ni Lord. It's all about humility. I think humility, it's about thinking thinking of yourself less.
Yeah, it's according to C.S. Lewis. And I
Yes,
like
according
that
to
line.
C.S. Lewis. In the eyes of God, what is amazing is that greatness is not measured on how many people serve you, but on how many people you serve.
I really like what you said, Jasa. Leadership is not about position.
Yeah.
It's never about title. It's not a label that you put on yourself
Right.
when you are appointed or elected as a leader. Because for me, when you lead, it's not about being in charge. It's taking care of those people who are in your charge.
Yes, correct.
It's a selfless job.
Mm-hmm.
And you call it also a very humble task because according to Jewish culture, the only person inside the household who should wash your feet is a servant who was the lowest position among the servants.
And Jesus was not a servant.
Imagine that.
He was a teacher at the time, and many people looked up to him.
He should have never done that in the first place because he was not a lowly servant inside the
Yeah.
household. But Jesus, being that humble son of God, he took the chance to model something to his disciples. This is how you should lead.
Yes. At you know what? Sa panahon natin ngayon, that's what we are lacking.
Na nagmamatter talaga yung intention ng tao.
Totoo. God
Why
looks at
they
the
would
heart.
like to be in that position. Do they want to become famous?
Yeah.
Is that only for the sake of money or the wage that you're gonna receive? Because like what I said, it's never about position. It's about your responsibility in the first place. To lead, to take good care of the people.
Yes.
To lay down your life for them.
Yan. That's the greatest act of humility. Kasi a leader should not think of what he can gain, but what he can give. And the kind of leadership that Jesus gave is a kind of leadership that humbles himself to the point of dying, of giving himself, of laying down himself for the people whom he leads.
The disciples were shocked to see that their master or teacher was washing their feet.
Yeah, they even thought that I'm not worthy for you to wash my feet, right? And you know what, Jeff? What's amazing there pa is kasi yung winash na part ng body ni Lord sa mga disciples is yung feet pa talaga, which is the dirtiest part of a person's body according to tradition na dapat ay winawash lang nung lowliest of servants. At ginawa yun ni Lord. It only shows how Jesus would like to show what leadership really looks like. It is putting others above yourself.
I really appreciate those leaders who don't want to be recognized if they do something good. If what they do is beneficial towards others, they should not flex it.
Yeah.
Or they should not put their names on it because this is another form of humility. You want God to be pleased with what you are doing. And
Right.
when you want to become humble as a leader, you are being so selfless. Alam mo, just sa pag-leader ka, kailangan na ibigay mo talaga yung strength mo. You should also consider na may mga needs yung ibang tao. Dapat andon ka.
True. Even if it means no that you as a leader, you don't just tell them to do this and do that. No, you work with them. And sometimes, even most of the times, a good kind of leader is someone who does more. If they are working hard, you work harder. And if it requires you to be misunderstood at some point, then accept that that's what becoming a leader is. And that's how humility should be seen from you.
I really agree with you, Jessa.
Yeah.
Because there is a cost of leadership.
Ayan.
When you are a
Sobra.
leader, oftentimes, no, ikaw yung unnoticed, ikaw yung unappreciated. And then also your efforts are oftentimes not acknowledged. But you have to accept the fact that you have to deny yourself.
Yes.
When you become a leader, there's a self-denial. You allow your members, subordinates, to be recognized more than you.
Yeah.
You don't take the credit because it's a collective effort. When you are a leader, you should not be a boss. You must be a servant.
You
That's
must
why
be a
I
servant.
believe that one of the best types of leadership is a servant leadership.
Yes.
Because you have to push them, you have to guide them, you have to be with them, you have to bring out the best in them and not the worst in them. And that's
Yeah.
where humility comes in. For example, I am a cell leader. I do handle or manage a small group. Also, Jessa is. It's a tough job. It's a humbling job because you really have to
Yeah.
spend money, spend time, spend resources para lang ma-meet yung mga needs nila, di ba?
Yes. And you know what is written in the Bible? It says there that we should become shepherds who lead like Jesus and not just a hired help. Kasi when you are a hired help, according to the Bible, you are going to be tired you get no recognition at all. But when you are a shepherd, you give and give and give. And the only recognition you require is the recognition that comes from the Lord, is His applause. It's to please Him, to be recognized by God and not by any people around you.
Because there are leaders that think leadership is all about having that position, and so they abuse their power.
Yeah.
And this is a very unfortunate, or one of the saddest things, no, that are currently happening in an agency, institution, school, or workplace. And the workers, the employees do suffer
Oh, yes,
because of
correct.
this kind of an outlook na pag leader ka, dapat boss ka.
Yep.
Ikaw dapat ang masusunod. It's all about your opinion. It's all about what you want, what you desire, to the extent that you have overlooked your subordinates.
Yep.
And what happens is, it becomes a toxic environment.
Kasi other people, no, they see humility as weakness. Sa tingin nila, nawawala yung authority nila when they humble themselves. But no, it's not real. Because in the real context, I've seen it a lot of times that we follow someone when we see them serving people and when they don't need any position just to do their job. Yung nauuna yung trabaho kesa sa position. Those are the kinds of people na ang sarap talagang sundan or i-follow at tawaging leaders.
We don't follow a famous leader. We follow an influential leader.
Wow, I love
who
that.
leads by example. The way that this leader lives, the way that he or she responds, the way that he or
Yes.
she listens. I really love a leader who is a listener. He or she is able to listen to the needs, to the concern of other people. And let's go back to that passage that we talked about when Jesus washed the disciples' feet. What happened was God elevated him. It's according to the book of Philippians.
Wow.
Because of Jesus' humility, he is now at the right hand of the Father.
Yeah.
And his name is above all
Other names. It was mentioned again and again and again in the Bible that those who humble themselves are the ones who will be exalted, and those who exalt themselves will be humbled.
Because God despises the proud, but He gives grace to
To
the
the
humble.
humble. Amazing what kind of an upside down principle the Bible has for us. And I think that's the key to a better Philippines.
Yeah,
Yung magkaroon
of
tayo
course.
ng mga humble leaders.
A true leader knows how to serve the unnoticed, the marginalized sector of our country, and even those who are considered as the last, the lost, and the
And the
least.
least. Amazing kasi dito sa ating passage, no? Si Lord, winash niya yung feet ng kanyang mga disciples, knowing that Judas will be betraying him, knowing that Peter would deny him 3 times, and his disciples, the other disciples, they are going to abandon Jesus. Pero still, even with that knowledge of Him, winash pa rin niya yung feet ng disciples niya. And that's the truest and the highest kind of humility. Loving and washing the feet of your betrayer.
And please don't forget that God can use even the most ordinary thing or ordinary person to do the most extraordinary task.
Right.
So do not consider yourself as unqualified or you're disqualified, because God qualifies the unqualified. He allows to use people who are humble enough to be used and willing to be used by the Lord. For example, we have the disciples. They are just humble people, fisherman, tax collector, ordinary man, but they had been entrusted with bigger tasks. And this is where accountability comes in.
Yeah.
When you are a humble leader, you know how to take good care of what God has entrusted to you. A talent, a position, a skill, you have to bring it back to the Lord.
Yes. You know that there is someone who watches over you, even in places where nobody is watching. You need to know that you are accountable to someone who is higher than you. Kasi sometimes, no, akala ng mga tao that nobody's gonna see them do fishy kind of things. Pero always remember that the Lord always sees everything. He does not sleep nor slumber. And one day, we will answer to everything that we have done here in this world. Even those things that are hidden from the eyes of people.
So be humble like Jesus.
And we are down now to our second scene, Jeff. Jesus feeding the 5,000.
Using only 2 fish and 5
and
loaves.
5 loaves
And
of
feeding
bread.
the 5,000 people.
That is a miracle. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. This shows us that leadership is all about compassion. Jesus was grieving at the time actually. Kasi namatay pa lang si John the Baptist, his cousin, and someone he is in ministry with. If you are that person, you're going to take time for yourself to grieve, right? And to avoid people coming your way. Pero hindi, iba si Jesus eh. He chose compassion over comfort. So yung ginawa niya, while he was walking, he was interrupted by people and he welcomed that interruption. He did not look at people interrupting him as a burden. No, he did not see them as a burden. Instead, sabi nga dito sa verse, when he saw them, he had compassion.
That's amazing to know that Jesus, even needing comfort at that time, he set aside that because he knew that these people, they had this much need. He sensed the need of the people. And I guess this is what compassion is all about. Be sensitive to the need of others. You should know this. The heart of leadership is compassion.
It means not just feeling bad about people. No. It's about feeling something deep and doing something about it. It's like love in action. Yung
love
hindi
in
ka
action.
lang mag-sympathize sa kanila from a distance. You are going to feel what they feel. You're going to put your feet on their shoes and do something about it. How can I help? Diba yung napansin mo dito, si Lord Jesus Christ, He did not ask, sino ba papakain sa kanila? Who's going to feed these 5,000 men? No. Instead, what He asked, how are we going to feed them?
And how did it become possible? It's through the lunch of
A
an
small
ordinary
boy.
who was willing to give his lunch to the Lord for the miracle to happen.
Yan, that's the amazing part. Kasi when you have compassion, there is a miracle that happens.
A miracle happens.
Yeah. At hindi man ganon na miracle nung nakita nila sa Bible, nung ginawa ni Jesus Christ na dumami yung pagkain. Sometimes the miracle is a changed heart. You are not remembered by people because of your title. You are remembered by people by how you made them feel.
Nowadays, if we would look at or assess the kind of leadership that we could see commonly, leaders are too self-protective. They are much afraid to give because they think it would make them less. If they give something, they would lose something.
Yeah.
But in the Lord's perspective, it's different. Like when you give something, you allow your hands to receive also from God. The more that you give, the more that you receive. And this is how compassion works. When you're a leader who has compassion, you have the heart of the Lord. Because Jesus healed the sick.
Yes.
He made the blind see. He became a friend of sinners. He befriended the outcasts of the society. It didn't matter what social economic status they had or what's their appearance. The most important thing to Jesus is he's able to help them.
Totoo. He saw the broken before he saw the sinner. God's love is greater than judgment.
John Maxwell himself, who is a renowned
I love
leader,
that author.
He
Yeah.
said he said something that really touched me. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Okay, so Jeff, let's go to our next scene.
Yeah,
in
we're
the
done talking
Bible.
about compassion. Now let's talk about the third scene. Jesus driving out the merchants in the temple. He said to them, "My house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers." The context of this passage is when Jesus entered the temple was supposed to be a sacred place.
A house of
house
prayer.
of prayer and worship of the Lord. But these people whose hearts were full of greed, they made the temple a marketplace.
Oh my.
You would understand the Lord if that was his reaction when he saw merchants, mga money changers, exploiting the worshipers in the temple. He had this righteous anger against these people who like to rob money from them.
So what is God teaching to us about leadership here?
Bad leaders have no integrity in
Oh
the first
my,
place.
yeah.
Integrity means, for me, it's doing the right thing even if no one is noticing. It's what makes people trust you.
Oh.
For me, trust is not just given, it's earned.
It's earned.
We oftentimes trust people because they are worthy of that trust. They are reliable.
Yeah, they worked for the trust.
Yeah, of course. And they are honest. They are trustworthy. Their qualities, their character would tell us so that these people can be trusted. Remember that when you are a leader, you should be a role model.
Yes.
Not only with the words. You should take note of this. Do not lead with words because people would follow you by your actions.
Yeah.
How you live or how you walk, what you talk.
That is what integrity means. It means that your values and your actions, they align, and people can see you living out the principles that you're talking about. And that is what Jesus did. What he taught to his disciples, he lived it out. And he never bent the rules, the law of God, just to please people.
I agree.
Instead, he was willing to be misunderstood, to be maligned by others in order to stand for what is right in the eyes of God.
He followed these principles.
Yes.
When he said, love your enemies, he did that.
Yeah.
He did that to his
did that.
disciples, to those who crucified him. When he said you should live righteously, he is sinless. He never committed a sin. That's how perfect and holy he is. When he said that we should help other people, even the lowly, that's his life.
Yes.
His life talks about it.
Right.
His disciples saw that from him. And that is integrity.
Ayun, kaya galit na galit si Lord at that time. He had a holy and righteous anger because he saw people who are not leading the way he does, which leads to corruption.
That's
Ayun.
a big word, especially now.
Corruption thrives not because bad people get stronger. Corruption thrives because honest people stop speaking. We would like to answer also the question why Jesus got angry. Tama ba na nagalit siya? Parang hindi yata yun godly. Okay lang ba na magalit ang isang Christian? The answer there is yes.
Definitely, because Jesus showed it himself.
Yes, but this is the difference. The worldly anger is rooted from hate, but a holy anger is rooted from love. And that is the anger that Jesus felt here. It was from a place of love because he doesn't want to stain the holy ground, the holy sanctuary of God.
Yeah, and that's what we should feel against this news of corruption, and Christians should not be silent about
Yan.
this.
You cannot fix a system you are afraid to confront.
Yeah, and we Christians must stand with the truth, not bend the truth. Stand with the truth, what is written in the Bible. We have something to do about this.
Yeah, but we should always remember that there's a fine line between being angry and sinning and being angry and not sinning. According to the Bible, be angry but do not sin. Being angry is not a sin in itself, but what you do with that anger is what makes it a sin or not a sin.
That's why we have to prepare the younger generation. There is power in them.
Sobrang importante ng integrity kasi it speaks louder than words.
One of the best ways to express also or to see integrity in a leader is if a leader is also able to own up his or her own mistakes.
Yeah.
If you're a leader, you should not be blaming anyone. If you know that it's your mistake, you must own it up and become a better version of yourself. There must be no pride in your heart. That's why also it's important that leadership knows how to confront people. A healthy conversation. If you have a member or someone whom you have this conflict with, You must be able to create a solution, not division. If you live a life of integrity, you are a problem solver. You honor the relationship more than the conflict that's happening between the two of you. Because leaders are not perfect. We learn from our failures and mistakes. And we must also look at Jesus. Even if the disciples failed many times, he was able also to forgive them.
Yes, we are now on our last scene, Jeff, and last photo
Ano
of
kaya yan?
Jesus. It is Jesus praying alone. And this was the time when he was about to get arrested and get crucified. It was hours before his crucifixion and arrest. So this is what we call the Gethsemane moment. It is where Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane. He knows that he is going to be arrested hours from this moment. I pray for them. I am not praying for the world, but for those you have given me, for they are yours. You know what, diba? Yung mga last moments natin, kung alam nating mamamatay na tayo, we do the things that are most important to us. And you know what Jesus did? He did not plan out his escape. He did not think of growing his influence. What he did, he went to a secluded place and he prayed not for himself, but for his disciples. Sabi niya, I pray for them, that they will be able to overcome what this world is going to throw at them. This shows us, Jeff, na true leadership is about godly character.
That's true.
It's the life behind closed doors.
Follow a godly leader. What does it look like to have a godly leader?
A godly leader is someone who knows the fear of God. If we go back to the beginning of times, yung government sa Bible, it started with God as their leader. And it was God's original design na siya talaga yung mamumuno sa atin. He will be our king, he will be our leader, and we are his people.
Grabe ata yan yung experience, no? Na
Sa
si
Garden of-
Lord yung nag-govern, siya yung nagmamanage.
At yun yung na-experience ni Adam at Eve. So what we really need right now are godly leaders. And godly leaders look like someone who nurtures his spiritual life, who knows how to kneel down, who knows how to pray for their people, for the people who follow them, for their subordinates, who knows how to ask wisdom from the Father, from the one who knows better than them, who knows how to open their Bibles.
Yeah, definitely. That
And-
person should be a reader of the word because it's
Yeah.
our biblical, ethical principles where come from.
Right. We have the law of the land, but for us Christians, for me, this is our highest law.
During oaths, like in the government, the Bible is always there. We put our palm on top of the Bible
Yes.
because it's our standard, our moral standard of how we should live. So we choose a godly leader whose life is anchored on the principles that Jesus gave.
And I think another one is those kinds of leader who doesn't just rely on themselves when leading, they have counsel who gives godly advice.
A leader must be surrounded by godly advisors.
Godly advisors.
A godly counsel from these people.
Yes, in Proverbs, it is said there that you will be successful if you have godly counsels, but a nation can fall apart when you don't have godly counsel.
I love hearing those qualities that you gave me, Jessa, on what a godly leader looks like. And let me give you a concrete example to that. For example, I am currently working in OSAS, Office of the Vice President for Student Affairs Services.
Yeah.
And then my boss is a woman of faith. It's
Wow.
Dr. Gina Espanio. Hi, ma'am. If you're listening
Hi,
to this
madam.
podcast episode, I'm really thankful for your life. May mga time na nag-share lang kami ng Word of God. I am really touched because I have a leader who knows how to pray. Oftentimes, she asks me if she could pray for me.
Wow.
What is my realization
Ang
of,
ganda nun.
of current calamities. She would tell me na we are living in the last days, like, and there are times that I could see my boss reading her Bible, and on the table she has a purpose-driven life book by
Wow.
Rick Warren. So it's really good to have a godly leader whose faith is anchored in the Lord and whose leadership is guided by godly principles. She is compassionate. She's understanding.
Ayan.
Her life is a good example to follow. She knows how to deal with people, both those who like her and those who don't like her. Di ba pag leader ka, you should have the courage to be disliked
Yes, ayan.
because you will always be criticized.
That kind of leadership is not popular actually. But it's the kind of leadership that endures. Yun yung mga kinds of leadership that stays longer than any kinds of leadership because its firm foundation cannot be shaken. Kung ano yung fruits nila, it roots from their hidden life, their prayer life.
It's also good to have a spiritual parent. Like
Ayan.
Jessa.
I'm so blessed that I have a spiritual leader. Me and Jeff, we have spiritual leaders who guide us not just on one part of our life, every parts of our lives. We have our pastor, Simon, and our cell leader, Mama Celine. We are so blessed because we have seen through their lives how to live.
That's why we keep on appreciating them because we wanted to thank them for their
Yeah.
efforts. The sleepless night, prayers that they do extend, the guidance,
The
the counsel
guidance.
of making us to be Christ-like. In order for us also to be not only good servants in a church, but also good public servants in the government.
We have won many battles, many silent struggles in our lives, all because someone knelt down for us. Someone prayed for us. And I believe there were so many moments when I don't say my struggles, but I was able to overcome it because I have people who are praying for me. And those are our leaders. So maraming salamat po. And amazingly, Jeff, they are not compensated to do this.
That's true.
To do this thing.
It's a pure service.
It's a pure service to the Lord. They just love for the sake of loving and not to gain something in return. And I think that's the kind of leadership that Jesus has shown here. Amazing lang, no? Because we have found these kinds of leaders. If anybody of you there listening right now who needs guidance, who wants to feel the same thing that we feel right now, yung feeling ng may nag-aalaga.
Kaya kung wala kang spiritual
Oo.
parent, I hope you can find one. You
Yes.
find a church who can be accountable of you because these people are so hands-on in making you a better person and who can also pass the baton. They have this desire of making you also a leader. We go back to this fact that our national leaders or local leaders must have godly characters.
Yes.
The reason of that is if we want our country to become a better country, we must have better leaders.
Yeah, and one example I could cite from what I hear from the news, what I researched, Vico Soto is really someone who is setting the standard of godly leadership.
There is this shirt of his
Oo!
that became trending. Do you still remember that, Jessa?
Yes, sabi doon sa t-shirt niya, what we do in life echoes in eternity. Ang ganda!
Ang ganda ng state. We will always be reaching at that point that we will be held accountable of what we have done on earth. I guess I know also the reason why. Because he has a mother who is also faithful to the Lord.
Leaders are not just born, they are built. And I believe Connie is a very big part of who he is right now as a leader. It started at home. He was taught godly leadership at home.
And this is the reason why Pasig City right now is rejoicing because they have a godly leader who is a Vico. Connection to that, let me read also a verse from the Bible that tells us if godly leaders reign in a certain nation, what happens to their people? It's stated here in Proverbs chapter 29, whoever remains stiff-necked after many rebukes will be suddenly destroyed without remedy. And in verse 2 it says, when the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. It has always an impact on the people, and it always starts of who leads the nation or a city.
We might think no, that faith in God is just a small part of leadership.
And we think it's the last resort to think
Yes.
of.
Pero
It's
hindi.
not.
It is and it should be the biggest part of leadership. Our faith dictates what kind of leader we will be.
Let Jesus lead. The kind of nation that we would like to have will be based on who we vote for and what kind of person we vote for. We have seen how Jesus led differently through humility, compassion, integrity, and godly character. And I guess this is what's missing in the idea of today's generation about leadership.
We don't need louder leaders. We need leaders who go deeper. We need leaders who serve, who cares, who do what is right, and those who lead with godly characters.
And so if you are someone who is leading a team, a school, a business, a company, an institution, let me tell you, the best way to lead them is to serve them.
Maybe that's where real change starts. Not in position, but in posture. Not in being recognized, but in being faithful.
Thank you for joining us in this
Yeah.
episode of our Latte Night Talks. We hope that the leader inside you has been awakened and you have something to follow after this. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Yes.
Written in 1996.
And also, please comment down below what you want us to talk about next time.
We would love to acknowledge them next time in our next episode. See you all to our next
I'm Jessa.
I'm Jeff. This is the
Latte Night Talks. Yay! Bye!